We talked about ionic bonds and covalent bonds, and the last kind of bonding we need to talk about is metals. So we learned earlier that metals have low ionization energies, meaning it's fairly easy to pull an electron off of them. So what happens in a metallic solid is each of the metal atom donates one or more electrons to the electron sea, the ocean or pool of electrons. And so we can think of like sodium metal as an array of sodium ions surrounded by like negatively charged goo, right? It's the electrons. They've made it look kind of blue here like water. So this is the electron sea. And the sodium atoms are held together because they are attracted to that electron sea. So it's kind of acting like a glue, except it's more fluid. The electrons in this sea are free to move. They're not attached to a particular atom or ion. And so they can just wander around. And we need a charged particle moving in order for electrical conductivity. So that's how electricity is conducted by metals. It's because there's electrons in this sea that are able to move. This bonding model also explains malleability and ductility of metals. If you hit this metal with a hammer, you're going to dent it, right? It's not going to shatter like a piece of glass. It's just going to dent because we have attraction all over, and it's not dependent on being between any two atoms or ions. It's very non-directional. Any questions? I'll talk about this just because I think it's interesting. So oxygen is O2, that has a double bond, and ozone, O3, has bonds that are like between single and double, so they're weaker, right? We talked about the resonance structure and how it's like a 1.5 bond for ozone. So here we have the Earth, and we've got an atmosphere, and there's the ozone layer. Everybody's familiar with the ozone layer. It's important, right? How does the ozone layer help us? Well, UV light comes in from the sun, and that UV light is strong enough to break the bonds in ozone, but not the double bonds in oxygen. So the photon of ultraviolet light gets absorbed, the ozone breaks into oxygen molecules and oxygen atoms, and then those go on to recombine and reform ozone. And so ozone is shielding us from a lot of the ultraviolet radiation from the sun. I think it's kind of cool.